welcome to this very special offering on Headlines Today. Our guest today is not just a World Cup winning player and captain, but is also someone who's led by example. Michael Clarke, the architect of Australia's 2015 World Cup triumph, joins us for this show live from Australia. We will pick Michael's brains on everything cricket, the IPL, Ashes and much more. And to make this discussion even more interesting, I'm also joined by our consulting editor, Boria Majumdar from Kolkata. Now, before making any more delays, let's go straight across to Michael. Michael, first of all, many thanks for joining us on Headlines Today. My very first question to you, Michael, the IPL seems to be this big new innovation as far as world cricket is concerned. It's been there for some time. Ravi Shastri recently, in fact, said that even though IPL is sort of cricket in a condensed form, IPL is timeless. What do you think about IPL? How do you rate the IPL and how significant do you think the IPL has been in world cricket?
Yeah, look, I can't disagree with Ravi, to be honest. I think it's been wonderful for the game. I think it's brought a lot of countries and players closer together. And I think the development of cricket continues to grow because of, opportunities that the IPL present. I think players their games continue to improve and evolve. I think the 2020 format has helped the game of cricket. I'm a big believer that there's room in our sport for all three forms, T20, one-day cricket and Test cricket. And I think the IPL has certainly led the way in producing an unbelievable tournament that I know all the Australian players that certainly go over there and play have a fantastic time. And I've only spent a little bit of time there with Pune a few years ago and I loved it. So hopefully I get the chance to go back again soon.
Michael, as far as the IPL is concerned, it's given a platform to a lot of young Indian players, players who otherwise wouldn't have got an opportunity today. They are not just playing well, they are not just getting recognized by selectors and others. They've become sort of stars in India. What about other players? What about the international players who come to the IPL? Obviously, the Indian board gives a lot of importance to the performances of these players in the IPL. Do you see the same sort of response in, say, your country as well? Players who come and perform in the IPL and say not a part of the national squad. Do these performances get recognized and do they stake a claim for once again playing for the national side?
I certainly do. Obviously, I'm not a selector, but I would imagine it doesn't matter what form of the game you're playing or who you're playing for. If you're scoring runs or taking wickets, that's got to be helping you as an individual player. Again, I think there's a lot of young Australian players that haven't played much international cricket that are also playing in the IPL that are getting the opportunity on that world stage to stand up and perform and play against other fantastic international cricketers. So, like I say, I've got nothing but positive things to say about the IPL. I think it's been great for the game of cricket, great for the development of players all around the world. And most importantly, I think it's been one of the very few competitions that has actually brought players close together. So, when we're playing for Australia, we play against the Indian team or the South African team or the West Indian team. When I go and play in the IPL, I have the luxury of playing with these players, and I think that's great for cricket.
Let me go across to Boria now, who's also joining us. Boria, obviously you'll be able to shed more light on how successful IPL has been financially. The league has done really well. It's done great for the broadcasters. It's done great for the board. And obviously for the players as well. The IPL has been financially helping a lot of players from the grassroots levels, the new players coming up as well. How has that changed the scenario of things as far as world cricket is concerned and Indian cricket is concerned?
Quite a bit, Radhika. I mean, make no mistake. I mean, a lot of new people are getting to play. I mean, several people who missed out, for playing for their national countries are now getting an opportunity to play the IPL. For example, Sachin Tendulkar says, this is now the second best international platform. So even if you've not played for India or even if not played for Australia, this is another platform where you get recognized, you become a star, you earn a living. And this has given cricket an entirely new dimension. But with your permission, two questions for Michael Clarke. One, when are we seeing Michael Clarke in the IPL? Can we say, come 2016, if there is an offer, Michael, you will consider it seriously? Question number two, will you captain an IPL side? Because one captain who's missing in the IPL is Michael Clarke.
Boria, I would love to play in the IPL. And I guess a part of me retiring from one-day cricket with the Australian team and now allows me that opportunity. I've just signed with the Melbourne Stars, so I'll be captaining and playing for them in the Australian BBL. And then I would love yeah, like you say, next year to get over and be a part of an IPL team. Would I captain? If a team wants me to, number one, to come and play and then to captain, then I would be honoured. Like I say, it's a wonderful competition. It's a competition I loved my short time in. And because I was so focused on playing Test and one-day cricket for Australia, I haven't been able to spend as much time playing in the IPL as I would have liked. Now I've retired from one-day cricket, I have more time. So hopefully Test and 2020 cricket is for me now for the next few years.
One more question for you, Michael, before I give it back to Radhika. When you say you will consider, I mean, you are playing for the Melbourne Stars end of the year. Does 2020 cricket still appeal to you? I mean, you've given up the one-day format to concentrate on Test matches, but does 2020 format appeal to you? And can you still get the best out of Michael Clarke?
Most definitely. It really does appeal to me. Obviously, I love the time frame. It's a short game, but it's high intensity. I think as a captain, it's one of the toughest games to captain as well. So you have to be always thinking in advance, and the game's moving really fast. And I've also got that drive that I haven't had as much success as I would like in 2020 cricket. So to me, there's a stone that hasn't been unturned yet in my career. I think when I played 2020 cricket for Australia, it was taken extremely lightly. It wasn't anywhere near as serious as T20 cricket is now. And I think for me, like I say, I feel as fit and as healthy as I've felt in my career. I'm only 34. I've got plenty of time left in my body to play cricket. And I think now by retiring from one-day cricket, that allows me the opportunity to focus on Test cricket for Australia and focus on some 2020 cricket, whether it be in the BBL and also hopefully if the Indian people and the BCCI will have me, I'd love to play in the IPL.
Of course, Michael, I'm
Radhika,
sure.
over to you.
I'm sure, Boria, a lot of people in India would be waiting to see Michael play, because if we do look at this season, some of the teams which have done really well have had these star Australian performers. Michael, let's talk about the performances of your fellow players in this IPL, and somebody who stood out most remarkably has been Mitchell Starc. He comes into the IPL with this amazing performance behind him in the World Cup, and he completely turns the fortunes of his team. What do you have to say about him? He's somebody who just doesn't stop performing well and delivering.
Yeah, Mitchell Starc is a wonderful talent, and that's across all three formats of the game. That's what I think Mitchell's greatest strength is. He can play 2020 cricket, one-day cricket and Test cricket. I think he's certainly good enough. And I think what the people of India probably haven't seen yet from Mitchell is how good a batter he is as well. He strikes the ball as cleanly as anybody, and I know we've been lucky enough through the World Cup we got to see how well Mitchell Starc's bowling at the moment, and he's continued that on throughout the IPL. And I've loved following the IPL and seeing the Australian players have so much success. And what's so satisfying for me as Australian cricket captain is I get to see all the hard work these players put in on a daily basis. So when they go overseas and have success, it's really satisfying.
Michael, somebody who's sort of played a lot of IPL and seems to have just come back to his side is Kevin Pietersen. He's somebody who performed well in the domestic circuit. He's had his sort of troubles with the England Cricket Board. There's a lot of story going on behind there. Tell us, what is your take on the entire situation, Kevin not being a part of the England side, the decisions that Andrew Strauss has taken? Obviously, it is an internal matter of the board, but do you back not having Kevin Pietersen as a captain? Would you not want Pietersen in your side?
Yeah, look, it's a really tough one for me because I'm obviously friends with Kevin as well, and he'll play. I'll play with him with the Melbourne Stars. So on a personal note, I would love to see Kevin back playing because he's an amazing player. I think it's great for the game of cricket. He entertains the crowds. His performances and his statistics speak for themselves in any format of the game. He continues to show. He's still at the top of his game. He's batting as well as he can, and I think whoever he plays for in any competition, Kevin Pietersen will have success. The other side is Australian cricket captain. We go to England very soon, so if he's not playing, then I think there's an advantage to Australia. So it's, I sort of sit right in the middle there. But again, I think the one thing I've always said about the game is it's about producing entertaining cricket for people to turn up and watch, for people to watch on television, to people listen to on the radio. And Kevin's an entertainer, so if he doesn't get back in that England team, it'll certainly be. I think the England team will be different without him. That's for sure.
Yeah, and as a follow-up, I must ask you this. I mean, Kevin Pietersen not being part of the England team in the Ashes, there's so much talk that Alistair Cook would have left, the England side. Some players would have left. The support staff would have left. As captain, would you have handled it better? Let's be blunt. Does Kevin Pietersen's absence give Australia an edge in the Ashes? Does it improve your chances? Because clearly he is one of England's best ever batsmen. Does his non-inclusion add to Australia's chances in the Ashes campaign?
I think England are still going to be very tough, no matter what players they put on the field. I think in their own backyard, they're an exceptional team. I think they got a good bowling attack that can swing the ball, whether that be natural swing or reverse swing. I think their batters love playing in their conditions. So, I think no matter what 11 that take the field for England, they're going to be really tough to beat. And we, as an Australian team, need to be on top of our game and make sure we're 100% ready to play our best cricket to have success.
Yeah, Michael, three of your fellow cricketers from your team, David Warner, Stephen Smith/Shane Watson, George Bailey, captaining three of the IPL teams, Kings 11, Rajasthan Royals and Hyderabad. And David Warner particularly has done very, very well. A word on each of them. I mean, does this actually captaining IPL teams sort of shape up leadership qualities as well? Do you think it helps?
Yeah, most definitely. I think any opportunity you get to captain a team can only help you. And like I said, I believe captaining 2020 cricket is very hard because you have to make split-second decisions. And if you get it wrong, it can cost your team the game. So, for these guys to have the opportunity to captain in this format in such a big competition, the IPL, I think it'll certainly help them. And I've been saying for a little while now with the Australian team, I think we've got a handful of guys in that team that could take over the captaincy and have success. But again, it is really pleasing to see the guys doing really well over in India, both individually and also with their teams,
Michael, we've obviously spoken about the performance of Australian players. We've seen how Stark has done so well, but there's somebody else also who sort of struggled in this IPL. We've seen Mitchell Johnson. He struggled in the World Cup and he seems to have found it difficult to find his form in this IPL as well. Punjab obviously have been eliminated from the contest and Mitchell Johnson really found it difficult. What do you have to say about his struggles this season?
Yeah, look, I think Mitchell is like a lot of players that have just come from the World Cup, probably a little bit tired. Mitchell is an amazing player and has shown that across all three forms of the game over a long period of time. So I wouldn't for 1 second think that Mitchell's not at the top of his game. I think he might just be a little bit tired and probably needed a break after the World Cup before heading to the IPL. But because the scheduling was so tight, a lot of the boys... Glenn Maxwell's probably another one like that didn't have that opportunity. Aaron Finch, a lot of the guys involved in our one-day game didn't get any sort of break leading into the IPL. So, I think, like I say, Mitchell's a phenomenal bowler. He'll continue to perform well and hopefully he can, he's back in Australia now having a bit of a break before we head to West Indies on Monday.
Michael, Australia is a team which has seen the split captaincy work really well, and obviously you have, when the time came in, you decided to step aside from the captaincy of the ODI team. We've seen a sort of similar situation emerging with the Rajasthan team in the IPL as well. Shane Watson obviously deciding to step aside, saying that he wanted to concentrate on his batting and bowling performances. Steve Smith on his part has done a good job with Rajasthan early on. You've seen him captain as well. The Australian team, he is a good captain. But what do you have to say about this move mid-season, in between when it is the fag and end of the tournament, when it is really important for Rajasthan to perform? They have this change in captaincy. What do you have to make of that?
Yeah, look, it was a surprise to me, to be honest. But I guess it's, Watto knows his game really well. So if he feels like he needs more time or needs that extra time to focus on his own individual performances or his training, then you have to respect that. So, I don't think the decision would have been rushed. I think Shane would have thought long and hard about it before making that decision. But when I heard about it, I was obviously surprised. There's no doubt about that.
Michael, we've seen some amazing performances from the Indian players as well this season. Virat Kohli has been amazing with the bat and has led the Bangalore side brilliantly. Ajinkya Rahane is in this two-way battle with David Warner for the orange cap. So both these players have performed really well. There are a lot of youngsters who've performed really well too. What do you have to say about the Indians shining in this season's IPL?
The Indian players always do well. Yeah, look, I think that's an important part of, when I think about successful IPL teams, I think your local players, your Indian players are vital to that success. You can have, you can only play 4 overseas players, so you need to make sure that your local players are playing well at the top of their game. And I think the great thing about this tournament for India is it continues to produce fantastic players for the Indian team. You see guys walk out of the IPL and play for India, and they have instant success. So, I'm never surprised when I see the Indian players doing well. They've got lots of talent. They continue to produce it, and I think to have success as an IPL team, you need your Indian players doing really well.
Michael, one cannot not ask you about the Ashes. I mean, you are going to the Caribbean, but more importantly, from there on, straight to the British Isles. If I remember right, you go on the 26th of June, and thereafter the big test match at Lord's, and the series starts. It's a huge series for Michael Clarke. After winning the World Cup, how important is the Ashes for you? Because it'll sort of climax a fabulous year as captain, and having come back from that injury, this cannot just get better. How important is the Ashes for you? I know you don't distinguish between series, but the Ashes must be special.
I've spoken a lot to both the one-day team during the World Cup and in the lead up to that, and also the test team over the last few years about expectation and pressure. And I think as a team, that's something we look forward to. I've never really cared about, are you favourites, are you not favourites? I care about us making sure we're as well prepared as we can be, make sure we do the work at training, and then when we walk out onto the field, we play our best cricket, and that's what's important. And I think if we do that, as well as we possibly can, I think we'll have success, whether that be in West Indies when we head there in a couple of days, or throughout the Ashes in England.
Before Australia actually heads to England for that all-important Ashes, there is a West Indies tour which is coming up as well. How is Team Australia prepping for it? Is it a sort of preparation ground for, say, the big Ashes tour? The West Indies team obviously has their sort of problems. They've not really done so well in the past, the player issues with the board and all. How is Team Australia prepping for the West Indies challenge, and how formidable an opponent do you think the West Indies is going to be?
Yeah, certainly not a lead up to the Ashes at all. I think West Indies have just shown against England that they're a tough team in their own conditions. So you have to be at your best to beat them. I think their bowling attack is very strong, the West Indies. Conditions are conducive to reverse swing and spin, what I've seen against England. So I think it's going to be a really tough challenge for us, a tough tour. And I think that will be good preparation for England, but we're not focused on England, to be honest, right now. The Australian team's really focused, and all of our talk and preparation has been about the West Indies. Our goal is to get over there and have success in those 2 test matches, and then we'll worry about England after that.
Michael, thank you so much for joining us on this show. All the very best for the West Indies tour and the Ashes tour as well. I hope Australia and you both do well, and hope to see you in the IPL next season. Boria, thank you to you as well for joining us from Kolkata. That is all that we have in this very special presentation on Headlines today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for watching.